what does Facebook allow you to do for your community? And I'm not, it's a hard question to answer really, because I mean, unless you have a persistent like Facebook experience, which is when most of your games are experienced in that browser, in that world.
Yeah.
For us, it's like what we really can do for our community is provide them with information, a place to sort of shout at each other, and sort of and a centralized feed of chronological data. So it's like we release this on this date, you can sort of tag through and see what we've posted. And there is behind the scenes access to the studio, but what we find is more and more when you sort of crest that 250,000 level of fans, people who are subscribing are just looking for info in their feed. They're not really looking to interact or engage in the same way that your first 200,000 fans probably.
Thankfully, I'm nowhere near 200,000.
Yeah.
James, you guys did something cool with your challenges with the resistance stuff recently.
Well, we actually, so we had some extra resistance screenshots. There's never really actually extra screenshots, ever. So there was some specific resistance screenshots taken for this purpose, and some specific art found for this purpose. We essentially, and we set the goals way too low too. But we put them up online. Said for every 1,000 likes we got, we were going to basically unlock an hour. Maybe it was 2,500 or 1,500 or something. It was some number. And it was really funny too because we were sitting around the studio and everyone's like, I think we ended up saying 10,000 total was what I got all 5. I think it's every 2,000 likes. People were like, oh, I should only get 5,000 likes. And I'm like, I think it should be more than 10,000.
James, we're never going to get to 5,000 likes. Don't set the bar too high.
Right. All right, and then we'll have to give it away, and it'll look bad, blah, blah, blah. And I think we got like 15,000 likes in 24 hours or something like that. It was like, well, that worked well, and now we're totally out of assets, so this campaign is over. And it was supposed to be like a 2 or 3 week campaign or something that didn't go anywhere. But people seem to really like that, and being able to like do something exclusive to get people kind of in there talking about it. There's a lot of people who maybe didn't know about the Insomniac Facebook page, and they wanted to, when they became aware of that, and the Resistance fans were like, oh, we really want to go see this stuff, and it kind of worked out to our advantage in the timing. What was that?
Well, so one thing I have been seeing a lot more studios do is, in order to actually access a fan page, you actually have to log, right? You have to like that page in order to see anything behind it.
Right.
Ryan Seacrest did that with the latest conspiracy.
Did he?
And I like Ryan Seacrest on Facebook.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Did you unlike it?
Yeah. I mean, I like him in real life also.
That's awesome. He's a good guy. It's really cool. What you do is you set a tab as a default tab, and so you basically create like a landing page where you like show up screenshots or whatever, and that's how you can kind of like gate the content, and it works really well for us.
But you mean like the protected page where, unless you like it, you can't see it. And we did that recently for our contest we ran. We actually gave away a Squire, one of our Fender Squire Stratocasters that came out last week. And something people don't know is actually that's not free to do. I think you have to pay a service to basically lock a page and have people have to like to see it. And so the longer that promotion runs, the more expensive it is to have that go. So it's something people do often for like the Ryan Seacrest song thing. It's like, we're going to have 1 million people on one day flood this site and try to like us. It's basically a way to capture all these people in one day. But if we ran this promotion for a month, it would cost us thousands of dollars.
How much from things like that, so like the screenshot unlocking and things like that, how much, because it posts to people's walls, how much new people do you have bringing in from those type of like environments and those type of tricks?
Yeah.
Do you see more, like, when you, like with your content, do you see a lot of people start that weren't necessarily fans before? Do you see new fans coming in?
I mean, like new fans that weren't fans of us before at all. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were documented before. Like they were probably out there at like Resistance.
Because I know when I post something on my wall and like my mom likes it, she'll like it as well. But
yeah, I mean, maybe it was people. Like it's hard to tell like who that likes your page on Facebook. Maybe has never played your game before. There's no easy way to know that and have that kind of data about them. But we did see even afterwards, you saw a big lift in the amount of people because you had more people seeing the updates every day, more everything we were putting out. More people were clicking they liked it or were commenting on it, which is republishing it on their wall, which is grabbing their friends who maybe didn't know about it. So there was definitely a huge lift in like the overall amount of people that were liking it.
And that info radiates out, right? Which we were talking about. It ends up sort of in everyone's feed. Even people who don't play your game, maybe don't know what Resistance is. The question I always ask our team when we're looking at that stuff is actually not how many people can we add, but how many people can we keep beyond the end of the promotion. Yeah. So it's like, we may get 15,000 people who add us in a day, and the next day we'll have another 2,000 people who saw it on a wall and clicked and sort of joined in after the campaign was over. But 2 days later, if it's really a promotion that is sort of for Facebook cores who just want to get something free or sort of join a contest for a day, they'll unsubscribe from the page and we'll see if they can dip 2 days later if it's not a brand they actually care about. It's weird. Don't do that.
Engagement.
Yeah.
So,
I just like your page where I get to see the resistance shots and I don't play resistance, so it works.
Not yet, you know.
I know, I'm working on that.
Once he owns a PS3, that's
Yeah,
the
I've
real
got to get a PS2.
That's my secret shade.
so what are some of the challenges that you guys have come across with Facebook? And how you use them?
You know, there's like
Yeah.
there's people that want to just troll your comment pages, and then there's people that don't want to comment because I mean, like you go on Facebook and there's like all this data about everyone and everything. You know, your name, your phone number, your email address, where you live, where you go to school, the date of your last colonoscopy, and all these things are on there. And so there's definitely people that don't necessarily want to, share, interact, or feel kind of weird about commenting. So part of it is, I think, drawing out some of those people and doing things to draw people out and actually get them to comment for the first time. But on the second side, there's also people that probably share too much and overshare onto your Facebook page. And so you have this, like, two sets that are exact opposites, but both are causing bad things to happen. And managing, I think, both of those groups is a real interesting task.
In the realm of those trolls, too, a thing that I think is the most fascinating thing about Facebook. So we run forums on Rockband.com. I'd say other than sort of massive multiplayer games, we probably have one of the biggest and most active forum communities in video games, because it's like we have 500,000 active users. It gets kind of out of control sometimes. And we bring that, I mean, that's a pretty well-policed community. There's people there who troll as well, but they sort of handle each other and they all work together to sort of have conversations. Inside of Facebook, on the forums, I don't know who anyone is by name. I can look them up because I have access to the database, but Ultrace isn't necessarily a guy who I know his address and what his girlfriend looks like. And on Facebook, people will post 10 times more like hate speech filled things and flame things, and I'm like, hey, Dave Hinkle, like I can see you, I know who you are, and like your page is public and your mom is one of your top friends. I'm like, I could call your mom right now. I could so easily call your mom. And we talked about doing on our weekly podcast, just calling someone's mom each week who's bad us on Facebook. Because there will be people who just, no matter how many times you message them, just continue to flame. But one of the things I find challenging about the way that Facebook comments are laid out is that you actually, it's a struggle versus in a forum you can sticky things and move stuff around. You just sort of have a comment in line, you get 1,000 comments on a video, and even as like a moderator, you go in and try to regulate the conversation. Someone that's seen the last 100 comments will never see that comment unless they page all the way back up to the top and read all the way through again. So it's hard to sort of get a beat of information about making a new post and spamming the entire set of your friends again. It's kind of bad.
Yeah, for me, it's really hard because, again, our volume is so large. I mean, I had, again, with 400,000 people in a month, and they just comment so much, it's really hard for me to keep track of what everyone is saying. And there's also this phenomenon in Facebook games where people want to add as many friends as they can to like do various things in the game. We call it add me please spam. And so all the comments are add me please, and then like one random guy will like actually give valid feedback. And it's hard for me to like make sure that that guy knows that I appreciate his feedback, if I even see it at all, because there's just so much comments. So that's kind of what I was saying earlier is I use, in general as a company, we use Facebook as one of our strongest, biggest channels, and then we kind of try to divert them out to places where we can have better conversations with them. So with us, that's typically the forums, and with Monopoly, we're experimenting with Twitter and things like that, where we can have better direct conversations and sticky threads on forums and things like that.
In the realm of direct conversation, one thing that I think is sort of interesting is also how fans interact with mods and personalities from the company in the context of Facebook accounts. Because Facebook is a very personal thing, and I think all of us probably have personal Facebooks that are not our company's Facebook. And when people will add you, often it's hard to separate sort of the diehard fans who are really interested in having a conversation and may want to get to know you, you might become friends with them over time, from like a crazy stalker dude who just friended Rock Band the other day and like will not actually engage with the brand at all, and they send a blind account, you have no friends in common, you don't know, like, should I friend this person? Should I start having, so do you friend them? It's a toss-up point. If they like Rock Band already and they have any mutual friends with me, I'll often, or they send me a message saying like, hey, I love Rock Band, I saw this video you did, I'd love to be friends with you on Facebook. Even that little layer of outreach will make me probably click yes, but otherwise,